During the COVID-19 pandemic, social isolation means that remote working is becoming the norm. For many businesses who have not done this before, there are some legal risks and challenges that you need to be mindful of. Some of these relate to workplace health and safety, even in the home, whilst others relate to confidentiality and privacy considerations. This video will be discussing the privacy law issues that may arise when your workers are working remotely. The obligation to keep documents confidential may arise from contracts. It may arise from relationships that you have with your customers or service providers that mean that you have to keep documents secure. Alternatively, if your organisation or business is bound by the Privacy Act, you are required to keep documentation secure. Organisations that are bound by the Privacy Act include federal government agencies, businesses with a turnover of greater than $3 million a year, businesses that work in health service provision, which includes weight loss and fitness, and any business or organisation that deals in data. If you aren't sure if the Privacy Act applies to you, make sure you get advice on this. If your organisation does business in the EU, you may also need to think about the general data protection regulation that the EU have that might have some impacts on your situation. The Privacy Act applies the Australian privacy principles, one of which requires information to be kept securely depending upon its sensitivity. This means that if personal information, so information that identifies an individual, is innocuous, general correspondence, it doesn't require the same level of security that a legal document or a medical record might. In every case, you must assess the document on its merits to see whether or not it requires additional levels of security. Providing the security comes in many forms, and many of them are pragmatic things you might do already. For example, are you allowing employees to simply use their own devices, or are you providing office devices? What policies do you have in place about timeouts and password protection? Are employees allowed to use a shared computer at home to access work files? If you are using a virtual private network or a virtual desktop environment, which we strongly recommend, this will provide you with network security, but how are you going to prevent third parties from accessing the computer from which those services are connected? This is the time when you need to have a clear communication message with your employees about what is and isn't acceptable. We'd also encourage you to be pragmatic. Things like preventing printing might seem like a good idea until you realise that a number of employees are simply going to circumvent that by emailing documents to their personal devices and then printing them off anyway. Instead, we would suggest putting in place a sensible, secure method whereby employees can print and then giving them a box to store shredding in to be brought back to the office once it is full. We also suggest that where you are using non-work computers, that they have clear policies about not allowing other people to use the device and making sure that the timeouts on all of your servers are short. Perhaps you need to talk about whether or not the device can be kept in a locked or at least separate room in the employee's house. What measures are they going to put in place to prevent children, partners, friends from accessing things which they receive? You also want to make sure that people are not working remotely from cafes or public parks if they are handling sensitive documents. This is because in those environments it is less controlled and less secure. Generally though, if you take a common sense approach, and if you explain to your employees the importance of keeping things confidential and secure, you shouldn't be in any difficulty whatsoever. If you need any help drafting policies, feel free to reach out to us. You can find our contact details on our website at woolmans.com.au.